And, I mean, from OTAs on, he has to be so undeniable going, okay, like, we really have to have this discussion. Because I'm telling you, I just feel like it's just more worth our time to kick the tires on Shedeur Sanders.
Every day, I kind of lean one way or another with the QBs. I'm fired up about the quarterbacks. We got 2 starting-level quarterbacks. We really do. And so, despite all the reports that Watson was going to start, Monken all of a sudden has a change in tune. He's like, dude, I have no idea. I could start either one of them, and I think they'd be fine.
The Cleveland Browns are walking into one of the strangest seasons they have had in years because almost every major question on this roster comes back to one position: quarterback. Everything in Cleveland comes down to what happens at quarterback. If Deshaun Watson returns to his Houston form, the Browns can focus on winning right now. But if Shedeur Sanders keeps improving, the entire direction of the franchise could change. A few months ago, nobody expected this to be a real conversation. Watson was the clear favorite, and Shedeur was expected to develop quietly in the background. Now, that gap appears smaller than many expected. The Browns continue talking about both quarterbacks, which suggests this competition is still alive. At the same time, there's real optimism that Todd Monken's system could help Watson look more comfortable than he did in previous years. That's what makes this battle so important. If Watson improves, Cleveland can compete now. If Shedeur keeps rising, the Browns may have found their future sooner than expected. And that's why every rep, every practice, and every preseason snap suddenly matters. This isn't just a quarterback competition, it's a decision that could shape the Browns for years to come.
Shedeur has to go out there and basically not be able to throw. And Deshaun Watson has to be that good for me to go, fine, put Deshaun Watson in there.
Well, it would have to look something close to the Watson that you thought you were getting. Not an improved version of Watson over the last few years.
I'm not against reason. I'm just letting you guys know the bias that I would have going into the training camp.
But here is the part that Browns fans cannot ignore. Even if the scheme fit is better, Watson still has to prove he can play. The Browns can't blame all of Deshaun Watson's struggles on coaching or scheme. Some of the issues were on him: injuries, inconsistency, rust, and the fact that he simply hasn't looked like the quarterback he was in Houston. That's why nobody can just assume the old Watson is coming back. He has to prove it on the field, when the pressure is real and the games actually matter. And that's where Shedeur Sanders becomes such an interesting factor. If Watson clearly looks better, the Browns will probably start him and move forward. But if the gap between the two quarterbacks stays small, the entire conversation changes. Cleveland isn't in the same position it was a few years ago. The roster is younger, the timeline feels different, and the urgency to stick with a veteran plan isn't quite as strong. That's why Shedeur's development matters so much. If he's improving quickly and Watson is only slightly ahead, what do the Browns really gain by keeping the young quarterback on the bench? Watson represents Cleveland's attempt to make the past plan work. Shedeur could represent the future. That doesn't mean the Browns should rush him onto the field, but if he earns the opportunity, they have to take it seriously, because holding on to Watson for too long could prevent Cleveland from finding out whether they've already found their next franchise quarterback.
Maybe it will change. But I think that Deshaun Watson is really a waste of our time as fans. I think Deshaun Watson can only lead to us having our emotions played with on could he do it or could he not do it. And I'm putting the tie goes to the runner, a tie goes to Shedeur. And even if Shedeur's close, like Shedeur has to go out there and basically not be able to throw. And Deshaun Watson has to be that good for me to go.
And this is why the schedule matters too. One fan suggested that if Watson starts at all, maybe the Browns should start him on the road first. That makes sense. If Watson opens on the road and struggles, the pressure is still there, but it is not the same as a home crowd reacting in real time. Then, if the Browns decide to turn to Shedeur for the home opener, the energy would be completely different. Imagine that scene, a young quarterback with a famous last name making his first real push in front of the dog pound with the entire fan base wondering if they are seeing the next chapter begin. That is the kind of storyline the NFL eats alive. But there is also a risk. If Shedeur starts and struggles, the Browns could damage the momentum before it fully builds. If Watson starts and struggles, people will scream that the team wasted time. That is the trap. Cleveland cannot make this decision based on fear. It has to be based on football. Who commands the offense? Who protects the ball? Who gets the ball out on time? Who gives Jerry Jeudy, Denzel Boston, Isaiah Bond, and the rest of the receivers a real chance to produce? Because the quarterback decision does not only decide who takes snaps, it decides what kind of offense this team becomes. That brings us to the Jerry Jeudy question, because his future is directly connected to the quarterback situation. Some people are already wondering if Jeudy could be traded, and it's not a crazy question. The receiver room is getting crowded. There are young names pushing, there are rookies flashing, there are players who fit different pieces of what Monken may want to do. And Jeudy is coming off a frustrating year where drops became a major talking point. When a receiver has talent but keeps leaving plays on the field, the trade rumors are always going to show up.
What do you got to lose by playing Shedeur? See a full season of him, make your evaluation, and if it's great, I mean, you just found a hidden gem here, a 5th-round pick to be your quarterback. Otherwise, guess what? The 2027 class is loaded, so you get your franchise QB next year. Playing Watson prevents you from seeing.
But trading Jeudy right now would be bad timing. If the Browns moved Jerry Jeudy today, they'd likely be selling low. His value simply isn't where Cleveland would want it to be after an inconsistent season and continued concerns about drops. That's why a trade doesn't make much sense right now. The Browns still view him as part of their core group. He's still working with the starters, and people forget he's not far removed from being one of the league's most productive receivers. The real question isn't whether Jeudy can be traded, it's whether this becomes his reset year in Cleveland. The talent has never been the issue. He can separate, run routes, and get open, but none of that matters if he doesn't finish the play. The drops have to stop, especially with younger receivers pushing for opportunities. Players like Denzel Boston and other young pass catchers are making noise, and this receiver room is becoming more competitive. If Jeudy plays clean football, he can remain one of the offense's top weapons. If not, someone younger could take those snaps. That's what makes his situation so important. He's not just fighting trade rumors, he's fighting perception. The Browns believe their offense should be better under Todd Monken, with more creativity, better rhythm, and more opportunities for playmakers. That could be great news for Jeudy. A better offensive system and improved quarterback play could put him in position for a bounce-back season. But no matter who is throwing the ball, whether it's Deshaun Watson or Shedeur Sanders, the responsibility is the same. If the ball hits his hands, he has to catch it.
I guess a bigger question, because in my mind I was going to say, well, ideally you'd want Shedeur to just, shine and be the obvious answer because he's on such a cheap contract, and that's exciting. That would start to turn some heads. You'd have real juice.
But the offense improving does not automatically mean the whole team is ready to win big. The Myles Garrett trade changes the defense. You cannot lose a player like that and simply pretend everything stays the same. The Browns may still have a good defense. Jared Verse gives them something exciting, and the defensive staff still has pieces to work with. But top 5 defense expectations are harder without Garrett. Top 10 feels more realistic. And if the defense drops even slightly, the offense has to carry more weight. That again brings the spotlight back to quarterback and receiver. This is why the Browns may be in a strange middle ground. They are not fully rebuilding, but they are not a clear win-now monster either. They have young pieces, they have veterans, they have a quarterback question, they have a receiver room that could either become exciting or crowded. They have a defense trying to stay strong after losing a superstar. That kind of team can go a lot of directions. 8 or 9 wins may be possible if the offense wakes up, but if the quarterback decision goes wrong, the whole year can become one long evaluation period. The rookie class also adds pressure. Denzel Boston is a name to watch because he is already making plays and has the kind of hands that get attention fast. If he keeps showing he can win at the catch point, he becomes a real problem for veterans ahead of him. The Browns also have young tight ends in a battle for roles, and that matters because Monken could use different formations depending on who earns trust. If the second tight end battle produces a real contributor, the offense can get more flexible. More 2 tight end looks, better blocking, better play action, more easy throws for whoever wins the quarterback job.
I absolutely see what you're getting at here, James. But I think it's unlikely at this point. If I had to pick a receiver to get traded, I put my money on Cedric Tillman. The way the Browns speak and practice is as if Jeudy is still a part of the ones and as if they believe he can have a bounce-back year because, remember, we're only a year removed from when he was top 6 receiving yards in the NFL.
And that is where the Browns' future starts to come into focus. The quarterback decision is not happening in a vacuum. If Shedeur plays, the Browns are evaluating him with a young offensive group that could grow together. If Watson plays, they're trying to find out whether the veteran can lift the offense enough to justify staying on that path. If Jeudy breaks out, he becomes a key weapon and quiets the trade talk. If he struggles, the Browns may start leaning even harder into the younger receivers. Every piece affects the next one. This is also why Browns fans are divided. Some want Watson to start because they believe the team owes itself to see whether Monken can fix the fit. Some want Shedeur because they're tired of waiting for Watson to become what he used to be. Some want Jeudy traded before his role gets squeezed. Others think trading him now would be selling low and that he deserves one more chance in a better offense. None of these opinions are crazy. That is what makes this Q&A so interesting. There is no clean answer yet. But there is one thing that feels clear. Shedeur Sanders is going to play at some point if he keeps trending this way. Maybe he starts sooner than people expected. Maybe Watson opens the year and Shedeur gets his shot later. But the idea that Shedeur is just a background player feels outdated now. He's in the mix. The Browns need to know what they have. And if the season becomes more about evaluation than immediate contention, playing the young quarterback becomes harder to avoid.
If I go to camp this year and he's amazing and everybody's saying he's amazing, my eyes are not going to deny it. All right? I think enough time has passed. I know that we had the situation right after the Cincinnati game. I think that he does not inspire fans whatsoever to come out and support him or anything like that.
For Jeudy, the message is just as clear. This has to be a bounce-back year. The Browns probably shouldn't trade him right now because the return wouldn't match the upside, but that doesn't mean his spot is untouchable. The route running is there, the talent is there, the past production is there, but in a crowded room, drops will get you replaced. If Denzel Boston, Bond, or another young receiver starts flashing, Jeudy can't afford to be the veteran leaving plays on the field. So the bigger legacy question for the Browns is about direction. Are they still trying to squeeze value from the Watson investment, or are they finally willing to pivot into something younger if Shedeur proves he's ready? Are they going to give Jeudy the runway to become a real weapon in this new offense, or will the younger receivers force the team to make a move? Are the Browns trying to win now, rebuild quietly, or do both at the same time? That's the problem. Teams that try to live in two timelines have to be very careful, because if they choose wrong, they end up stuck in the middle. And that is where this debate should end. If Deshaun Watson gives the Browns the best chance to win right away, should Cleveland ride with him even if it slows down Shedeur's evaluation? Or if Shedeur Sanders is close, should the Browns stop protecting the old investment and let the young quarterback show whether he can be the future? And with Jerry Jeudy, should Cleveland hold him and bet on a breakout year or trade him before the younger receivers take his role completely? Because this season isn't just about one quarterback battle or one receiver rumor. It's about whether the Browns are brave enough to admit what they are. If they are still chasing the past, Deshaun Watson and Jeudy need to prove they can deliver now. But if this team is already turning toward the future, then Shedeur Sanders and the young weapons might not be waiting much longer.